Hello, Uncle Ted, your ice cream alchemist here with ice cream every day, and this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while. Nick had asked me about making a chocolate ice cream, for he and his son, and I was like, you know what, let's do that. And I thought, let's just kind of make a video as a shout out to some folks who have always been there for me, and I always appreciate it. I started off here making some Halloween fudge, and I'd never heard of it, but it went viral on TikTok, so I made it. And really, it's equal portions candy corn, sweetened condensed milk, white chocolate, and peanut butter. And you just melt it under really low heat on a pan. Now, I backed off on the peanut butter so that I added more of the candy corn so that it would be more orange. And just real low heat, stir it a bunch, make sure it melts. And it's important to have low heat on this because if it gets too hot, then it starts to go into the soft crack stage, and you don't want that. So, you got to make sure to keep it under really low heat and just be patient with it and keep stirring it. And then once it's done, what I did was I poured it out so that it would be real flat because I was going to cut this into small pieces to add to the ice cream that I'm going to make here in a bit because I'm making some chocolate malt ice cream, and I went ahead and had these chunks put in there. So that's basically what I'm doing here. And then for the rest of the video, I know this is a little unconventional, but I shot most of this with one hand, which is not something I normally do anymore. But on with the show. So let's talk about the stuff that I add in. So obviously we've got the sugar, just regular white sugar, half cup, and then a half cup of this stuff, instant non-fat dry milk. It's important. That really helps absorb a lot of the moisture, and it makes it smoother. It helps keep it creamy. This stuff here is malt, and what I'm using is something called diastatic malt because I can use it in baking so it doesn't interfere with my yeast. But you know that dairy malt that you get, I'm not going to mention brands, but the stuff you get at the store, well, basically that is 3 parts non-fat dry milk and 1 part malt. That's it. So really, if you just want to go straight to the good stuff, just get yourself a bag of malt and put 2 tablespoons in your ice cream base. And now I did learn that if you put more than 2 tablespoons, it starts to taste like horse feed. One time I did make a batch with 5 tablespoons, and it tasted like a farmer put his horse feed in my ice cream. It's an unusual flavor, but you kind of got used to it. But it's not something I would kind of launch on somebody without explaining to them, hey, this might taste like horse feed. Now, in my pan, I have my usual. And my usual is 2 cups of heavy cream, 1 cup whole milk. And I've got this on medium heat because I actually can handle this getting hot fast because I've made thousands of batches. Here's what I always tell people. If you go slow, you get into trouble slow. And what that means is don't crank the heat up. Honestly, you don't need to crank the heat up on this. If you want to do medium low and take your time, go for it. Just remember it's going to evaporate. It might thicken up on you a little bit. You don't want that. But if you want to take your time, then maybe crank the heat down a little bit. Me, I've got it set to medium, but that's just because I've been around the block a few times and I kind of know what I'm doing, kinda. So, that's just me. You do you. But, like I say, if you go slow, you get into trouble slow. I learned that there were people out there that I work with who were afraid of me delivering ice cream to them. I don't deliver ice cream to anybody, so it's kind of a weird thing to be afraid of, but whatever, I get it. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I don't deliver ice cream to anybody. That's why I make videos. I make videos so you can make the stuff yourself at home with your family. That way you don't have to bug me and say, hey, could you drive 8 hours? Because I don't like going down the block. I mean, seriously, I don't leave my apartment unless I absolutely have to. I would mean that quite literally. So, yeah, I don't deliver ice cream to anybody. I teach people how to make it at home. That way, you don't have to bug me and ask me to bring you some, because I ain't gonna do it. Right now, I'm just trying to get this to a higher temperature. I don't want it boiling. I don't want to boil this. What I need is somewhere around 160, maybe 180. That way the ingredients will blend, and that way they won't be gummy. Also, you don't want to get cocoa butter above a certain temperature because it'll crystallize. It'll get grainy is what happens. If you've ever had chocolate get grainy on you, it's because it got too hot. And so I don't even put chocolate or any kind of cut up cocoa butter product, white chocolate, milk chocolate, whatever. I do not put it directly into my base. What I do is I go to my bowl that I'm going to use and I dump it in there. And then once this is warm, I go ahead and I put it in. Now, time for my dry stuff. And yeah, I'm just going to dump it all at once because I know I'm going to whisk it real well. Chocolate doesn't really melt and it doesn't blend so much, so it'll take forever to get it properly, whisked in. But just keep whisking like this. And yeah, I dumped it all at once. Now, if you're worried about it clumping up on you, no problem. You can always add it bit by bit. I'm not too worried because I know that I'm going to whisk the crap out of it. But if you want, you can just add it bit by bit and just keep whisking. There aren't many rules. So, if you gotta do some stuff to make things easier for you, then go for it. And this is almost warm enough. Alright, so when it's all been combined and it's hot, as this is, you're ready for the next step. So I just put my thing there, put that there, and all I'm going to do is pour this in. Just like that. Alright, so basically I've let this sit for about a minute, and now I whisk. Now what's going on is the morsels that we put in the bottom are melting. And so we're just going to whisk this a little bit. Well, we're going to keep whisking it until everything gets integrated. Yeah, give it about 60 seconds. And then once you've done, that's it. All you got to do is put this in the fridge and let it chill overnight. Cover it with saran wrap so that the saran wrap touches everything. Because you don't want surface area exposed to air, otherwise you get a film. But yeah, just put this in the fridge like it is with the cover and chill it overnight. I actually had this in the refrigerator chilling, and so it chilled overnight, and so now it's nice and hard. Now what I did was I cut it. The reason for that is because it's actually kind of soft. Once this gets to room temperature, it's like taffy. So you're going to want to put it in the fridge to harden up. And then what I'm going to do is cut it up into tiny little pieces. Now that I got them cut up, I'm going to pull them apart and put them on a pan and put them in the freezer. Let them harden up again, because once again they're real soft. Alright, so now that we've let it chill overnight, give it a good mix before you put it in your ice cream maker, because a lot of solids will settle to the bottom and you don't want that, or they'll get to the sides. So you just want to give it a good whisking before you go ahead and put it in your ice cream maker. I really do need to name my ice cream maker. I haven't done that yet. I think what I'm going to do is put something on along the side. You ever watch the anime Big O? It's a classic. I'm going to put something on mine. I think along the side what I'll do is it'll say, "Cast in the name of God, ye not guilty." But, you know, anime. But yeah, flip your ice cream maker on. We gotta plug the damn thing in. Alright. Let there be light. Now, this is important. Don't overfill your ice cream maker. When you do this, I only fill it about 2/3 of the way. Because what's going to happen is it's going to whip some air into it and get bigger. You don't want to overflow it. So I only put about 2/3 in. You can't really see, so we'll do that. See? And now we wait. This is going to take about 15 minutes. Now, you'll notice I reduced the sugar from my normal base. Normally I use 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and I only used half a cup. The reason for that is because the malt adds a lot of sweetness to it. Plus, the chocolate did as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the more sugar you have in your ice cream base, the lower the freezing temperature. If you've got too much sugar in it, it ain't ever gonna freeze in your ice cream maker. You'll end up having to put it in the freezer and let it harden before you can do anything with it. So what I'm doing right now is just kind of watch and see how it starts to set up, because I'll admit this is a very sweet ice cream base, and so I might end up having to put this in the freezer to harden. We'll find out. Okay, so there's awesome and then there's awesomer. And so what you do with the awesomer is you just kind of plop these in. And now the reason I'm doing them frozen, the reason I put these in the freezer, if I can get them off, this way they don't change the temperature when they hit the ice cream and they don't remelt them. I mean, I just froze this stuff. I don't want to have to refreeze it, you know? Doink! It's kind of hard to do one-handed, but you get the idea. Doink, doink. 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 I need my other hand. Hang on. Alright. I didn't use all of them, but I used a bunch. And that is some proper ice cream. About ready to put it in the containers. It needs to harden in the freezer for a little bit longer. So after you take it out of here and put it in containers, yeah, I mean right now it's like soft serve, really weak soft serve, so it does need to harden in the freezer to be scoopable. Alright, so I'm going to call this done, and what I'm going to do now is scoop it and put it in my pint containers. You're going to get about 2 pints, maybe 2.5 out of this, but you get 2 pints out of it, and yeah, good stuff. But like I said, it's got to harden in the freezer. That's what it looks like. Got the chunks of Halloween fudge. So, the reason I made this, you know, I'm lucky enough that some of the people I work with are awesome human beings. And I promised one a while back I'd post a video showing a basic chocolate recipe. But I kept getting sidetracked because, you know, squirrel. But I told Nick, hey, I will do this. And, you know, there's another friend I work with, Pam, who's awesome, and I've known them since day one. They were super sweet to me, and I kept telling them, yeah, I'll make you some ice cream, and I'll post it. Basically, I don't deliver ice cream to anybody. I make videos and I show people how to make ice cream at home, that way they can do it themselves. And so the whole point of this is that I wanted to show people how to do it with their family, Eventually Nick will be able to do this in the kitchen with his family, and Pam can do this with her family. And when they do, they can say, this is something that Uncle Ted did for me. This is my recipe. So that's why I did this. But yep, I'm going to show you guys how to make chocolate malt ice cream with Halloween fudge chunks. Now, I gotta tell you, the fudge chunks, yeah, they're frozen, but once they get to like room temperature in your mouth, they melt in your mouth because they're pretty awesome. So there's that. But that's what we got. And now I'm going to show you how to make it. It's easy.